Hi, these are the top 10 films of 2023. When I say top, I mean my personal favourite films. I spent most of 2023 living in Hanoi, where loads of movies weren't released, so I'm still catching up. For instance, I haven't seen Godzilla Minus One yet. But I thought I'd make this list now to also see some of your recommendations of what was good last year, so please leave those in the comments below. Anyway, let's get on with my list. Cheers. In at number 10, Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese enters his 7th decade as a filmmaker and proves he can still make deeply involving films. This focuses on the murders of Osage members in the 1920s. It has an outstanding cast led by Leonardo DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone and Robert De Niro. The cinematography is excellent. The late great Robbie Robertson created the bluesy music for the film. Thelma Schoonmaker's editing is on point as usual, but it's Martin Scorsese's inventiveness and energy that really stand out. His enthusiasm for new subjects is infectious. The first third of this very long film is filled with imaginative and energetic ways to introduce us to this world. And the film also has one of the most original epilogues I've ever seen. I can't wait to see what Scorsese does next.
You need a drink?
Yeah. I'll take a drink if you got one.
No.
And why'd you ask?
Well, you seem nervous, is all.
In at number 9, Barbie. A really fun time in the cinema. I saw this in a packed cinema, filled mostly with women and young girls. I had a great time, but by the sound of it, they had an even better one. This charming communal experience is probably why I enjoyed it so much. With a repeat view at home, it may drop down a few places, but there is something joyful about witnessing event cinema. Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach wrote a really funny, bizarrely adult movie about a plastic doll. Margot Robbie is perfect casting as the infamous toy, but it is Ryan Gosling who's given the better part as the deeply insecure Ken. He is hilarious in the picture.
Let's beach off.
Anyone who wants to beach him off has to beach me off first.
I will beach both of you off at the same time.
But you don't even know how to beach yourself off. How are you going to beach both of us
Of
off?
course I
It
know how
doesn't
to-
make sense.
Ken?
And
Why
you
are
can
you
beach
getting
yourself off.
emotional?
You're going to beach both of us off.
Nobody's gonna beach anyone off.
The set design and practical effects are all tremendous fun. It's a film that a lot of care has gone into. What has it unleashed though? The next few years will be awash with endless bloody films based on toys, and I doubt many will be as good as this. Unless we get Aaron Sorkin's Uno or Ari Aster's Rock'em Sock'em Robots. In at number 8, May December. A film filled with brilliant performances. Todd Haynes is fantastic with actors. This is his 5th collaboration with Julianne Moore, and she yet again delivers a wonderfully unique, fully formed character. Here playing a woman who groomed a boy when he was 13 years old and is now married to him 23 years later. Natalie Portman plays an actress set to play her in a film based on her life. She comes to stay with Moore to study her and get to know her. Portman is good. Charles Melton is excellent as the confused boy grown up, but it's Moore that steals the show. She's frightening, ignorant, and surprisingly funny.
I don't think we have enough hot dogs.
In at number 7, Past Lives. A truly beautiful what-if story. Celine Song's feature film debut is remarkably simple yet powerful. It tells the story of 2 childhood friends from Korea, Nora and Hae. Nora eventually leaves to live in America. Years later they get back into contact and have an intense reconnection on Facebook. And eventually she says they need to cut off contact for a while so she can focus on writing. When they next get into contact, she is now married. They decide to meet in person and he goes to New York. It's riveting as they clearly love each other. It's embarrassing as her husband can clearly tell. And it's heart-wrenching as there is nothing that can be done. Song makes a film where barely anything happens, but where the small moments and even looks mean a lot. A lovely, moving film about the what could have beens.
Is he attractive?
I think so. He's really masculine in this way that I think is so Korean.
Are you attracted to him?
I don't think so.
In at number 6, Oppenheimer. Who could make a 3-hour film about men sitting around in rooms talking about science a huge blockbuster hit? Well, Christopher Nolan could. He really is a champion of cinema. He makes films for the big screen and manages to get people to come and pay. Cillian Murphy gives a very, very starry performance as the father of the atomic bomb. Alongside him is an outstanding cast, including Matt Damon in fine form, Florence Pugh, Emily Blunt as his very thirsty wife, and Robert Downey Jr., who looks pleased as punch to be acting in something serious. As usual with Nolan, the cinematography and score are outstanding. But some of the things I loved most about the film are the sets and costume design. It takes us to the past without highlighting differences. We go from the 1920s to the 1960s, out of order in typical Nolan fashion, and never does it push styles or trends to tell us when it is set. It just feels totally real, making the characters so much more relatable. These are not strangely dressed characters from a long, long time ago. They are just regular people having to make terrible choices. Cinema is a dying art form, and we need more masters like Nolan, if we are going to save the silver screen.
3, 2, 1.
In at number 5, Anatomy of a Fall. Yet another film with jaw-droppingly good performances in it. This is one of the best courtroom dramas I've ever seen, because we become the jury. We never really know what actually happened. We have to look at the evidence and at the actors' emotions to make up our own minds. Sandra Hüller gives one of the best performances of the year as a mother and wife on trial for the murder of her husband after he fell from their roof mysteriously. There are so many wonderful things in this movie, including an all-time great performance from a dog. The use of language is genius. Hüller is German and is being tried in French, but her French is not very good and she is scared she won't get across her account clearly. English being a middle bridging language for people from different countries also comes into play. Hüller is simply outstanding as the woman on trial, a fully formed character, a flawed woman terrified for her future, with love and hatred for her late husband. This is yet again a brilliant film made for adults.
Now, looking for a stranger who walks in, kills him while you were sleeping right above and Daniel was out for a walk is a shitty strategy. Samuel had no enemies.
Stop. I did not kill him.
That's not the point.
In at number 4, The Holdovers. This is basically a Hallmark Christmas movie, but in the hands of a brilliant director. Alexander Payne manages to make a moving film about people coming together over the festive period, but also a brilliant, deeper film that delves into complex characters. Set in 1970 at a boarding school in New England, we follow the unfortunate people who have to stay at the school over the winter holidays. Dominic Sessa is great as the student abandoned by his rich mother. Divine Joy Randolph gives a fantastic, understated performance as the cook for the school, a mother who recently lost her son in the Vietnam War. And Paul Giamatti does wonders with A Role to Die For, as a bitter, Scrooge-like lonely professor who resents practically everything. Most of the film is about the conflict between the two men, and you know they will bond at some point, but Payne tells the story so truthfully that it still gets to you when it happens. The slow reveal of both men's troubled past is fascinating, and as usual with Payne, he injects the whole thing with plenty of humour.
Sir, I don't understand.
That's glaringly apparent.
I can't fail this class.
Oh, don't sell yourself short, Mr. Coates. I truly believe that you can.
In at number 3, Beau Is Afraid. This 3-hour Ari Aster film is an absolute mess, but I kinda love it. It's just one long panic attack, a surreal dark comedy that is certainly not for everyone. It almost feels like Aster is purposefully making a film that will infuriate at least 80% of the audience. It tells the story of an anxious, lonely man played superbly by Joaquin Phoenix, who has to go on a horrible odyssey to go and visit his domineering mother. It is really in 4 chapters, although not named, with each one with their own unique nastiness. The chapters get worse as the film goes on. The first quarter of the film had me in pain laughing, a hilarious nightmare involving his apartment. The second chapter, where he is taken in by Amy Ryan and Nathan Lane, is also fantastic. And then the third and fourth parts are very good, but by this point you are getting a little worn down. But it is nevertheless great to watch a film where a mad new artist on the scene is given a budget and carte blanche. It's all over the place, but Phoenix manages, just about, to take you through the whole thing. I get why a lot of people would hate it. I also get why a lot of people would just be disappointed. But I just loved watching something that was full of things I'd never seen before. But here's hoping his next film is shorter. In at number 2, The Zone of Interest. Another tough watch. I was so excited to hear that Jonathan Glazer was releasing another feature film. It had been 10 years since his masterpiece Under the Skin. Then I heard it was a Holocaust movie. Well, I figured it would be good, but it was a hard thing to look forward to. Stanley Kubrick came close to making a film about the Holocaust, The Aryan Papers. It didn't get made after the huge success of Schindler's List. Kubrick didn't think that audiences would want another one so close, and having not really liked Spielberg's film, he didn't think that the Holocaust could properly be portrayed on screen. Well, I think he would have admired The Zone of Interest, one of the most chillingly cold films I've ever seen. This has to be the most frightening, unpleasant 12 A's ever to be released. We watch the real-life Rudolf Hoss and his family as they go about their lives in a house next to Auschwitz. We never see the horrors happening meters from them. We hear occasional sounds, all done subtly and worryingly realistically. It's all about the banality of evil. These are not 2D villains. These are real people, totally indifferent to the suffering they are causing. True evil may not have been better depicted on screen.
Das hier ist die Mauer vom Lager. Ja, das ist die Lagermauer. Also da haben wir auch noch Wein gepflanzt, damit das zuwächst, damit man das nicht mehr so sieht. Vielleicht ist ja Esther Silvermann dort drüben. Wer war das nochmal? Die, für die ich geputzt habe.
And in at number 1, Poor Things. Yorgos Lanthimos is certainly one of the most original directors working today. An artist with a unique sense of humour and storyteller who tells his tales in wonderfully different ways. It's all eccentric, sumptuous and suitably decadent to tell this erotic journey of self-discovery. In many ways this tells a similar story to Barbie. We follow a doll-like new creation who learns and is horrified by what the real world is like. Emma Stone plays a Frankenstein-esque creation of a mad scientist. She has an adult woman's body, but a child's brain. She sets out to find herself and about the outside world. It is very much a story about the female experience, but it has so many universal ideas too, about how we all go through life. Starting happy and naive, to finding out the joys in life, food, music, booze and sex. Quite a lot of sex in this. To trying to learn and better ourselves and to find out where we belong. To the shattering moment we find that the world is a deeply unjust, unhappy place. Stone is simply astonishing throughout the movie. Funny, endearing and insane. One of the best performances of the decade. Also, her British accent is perfect. The other accents in the movies are of varying qualities. Mark Ruffalo's English accent isn't quite right, but he nevertheless delivers one of my favourite performances of the last few years. As a despicable and weak man, he channels Terry Thomas sneering his way through the film in hilarious fashion. Another person who is brilliant in the film without nailing the accent is Willem Dafoe as her creator/father, God. He is marvellously horrid and tender as the scarred scientist. This is a beautiful film about being alive and everything that comes with it. Joy, love, lust, deep sadness, horror and the desire for more. A remarkable film.
Bella. Why I keep it in my mouth if it is revolting? I must go punch that baby.
Right, so counting down my top 10. In at number 10, Killers of the Flower Moon. In at number 9, Barbie. In a number 8, May December. In a number 7, Past Lives. In a number 6, Oppenheimer. In a number 5, Anatomy of a Fall. In a number 4, The Holdovers. In a number 3, Beau Is Afraid. In a number 2, The Zone of Interest. And in a number 1, Poor Things. Well, those were my top 10 films of 2023, and there's still loads that I need to see. So what are your favourite films of 2023? Cheers.